a environmental study, and that's what's coming up next. So that's probably the next big marker for the air park. Moving on to question number 2, and this is kind of related. The city's been planning to master plan about 8,300 acres of state land for an employment hub in North Peoria. Where do you stand on that? Since we started with you for the first question, we'll start with you on this question.
So there's a major amendment that's being that the city has given the council on the 2040 general plan, and that's to transform 8,300 acres in northwest Peoria. As the mayor has said himself, it'd be the biggest land deal in the state of Arizona. Biggest land deal in the state of Arizona. This 2040 general plan was adopted by you, the voters, just a couple of years ago. It passed 67%. And now they want to do this major amendment that is going to transform the way Northwest Peoria looks in perpetuity. I think this needs to go back to the voters. Again, I think we need to do a lot better job getting questions answered before we move forward. Right now, in tandem with this general plan amendment, they are moving forward with 1,600 acres of rezoning with the North Peoria Gateway Program plan. That's 1,600 of the 8,300 acres. That's not way north by 303 and Highway 74 and Lake Pleasant. It is right in our backyards in Mesquite. It's just south of Estancia. And right now, that land is zoned residential, low density residential, not multifamily housing. When I say low density, I'm saying like, I don't know the exact number per acre, but it's a lot less than the residential areas around us right now. That's what it's currently zoned. So now you want to take that 1,600 acres and you want to have high density residential, some low density, and a lot of office. They call it office space. They call it business services. They call it industrial. Their labeling of their map is not transparent, and it's very misleading. We don't know what we're going to get. They have these pretty colors, and I said, you need to define these categories so that we know what we're going to get. Again, they're running this tandem with the rezoning and the general plan update. Why are they pushing it through? They plan on bringing these things, getting through the public process, and bringing these things to vote by the council in September and October. That isn't a lot of time for there to be public input. If I was a council member, I'd be going, hey, we need to do some polling. We need to survey people. We need to have more robust discussions with our community. And it's not just Northwest Peoria and Mesquite. I've been talking to people in Willow and Ironwood about what's going on up at our way, because if we have to have our taxes raised, it's not just going to be Northwest Peorians. It's going to be everybody. And they're starting to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm curious of what's going on there. We need to have some tandem town halls with the other council members and start educating everyone what's happening in our town. We all need to be part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Matt, go ahead.
Working now? Okay, good. Thank you for fixing that. Interesting. One of my favorite terms, and if you use it, I'll sue you, is R&D. You may think research and development is rip off and distribute. I use it all the time, and I will sue you if you use it because it's remarkable. Why is it remarkable? I didn't think of it, I stole it from a friend. The point is, what have successful cities around the country done with vast open spaces of land? You really have two choices with the 8,500 acres. They're actually two completely different plots. You were asking just about the 8,500 acres, which is different than the 1,650. I'm sure we'll cover that separately. The 8,500 acres is everything basically north. You know where Cowtown is, up where the old glider airport was that Roy, if you remember Roy from years ago, did. You really have two choices. It's state land for the most part. Either the city takes control of it so it can be master planned, or you allow it to be sold off in bits and pieces to developers from wherever. Because remember, the state trust land, their whole deal is that they sell land and they take the money that's sold, they put it into the state land trust, they invest that money, very conservative, 2 to 3%, that goes to schools around the state. Each school gets a couple $1 million, each school district a couple $1 million a year based on the land that's sold. So I am for wrangling that land and putting under our control. The caveat is, and this is what successful cities have done when they've faced these large swaths of contiguous and non-contiguous land. They put it all together. The key to success, though, is you have to, again, elections have consequences. You have to elect representatives and a mayor, that's a normal council, who share that vision, who will take that land, zone it appropriate to what's there right now. An airport is not an appropriate zoning for what's up there for 8,500 acres. A tech park may be, some housing, some more spaces, open areas. That's what's appropriate. Elect representatives who see a vision of what to do with a large swath of discontiguous land to turn it to the next beautiful Vistancia, turn it to the next beautiful West Wing, with appropriate economic development. Restaurants, shops, entertainment, employment, offices, again, a tech park, all sprinkled around what's successful. Gilbert's a great example of that. 20 years ago, Gilbert was a dumpster fire because they just went, ooh, let's do whatever we want. They finally took that large swath of land, brought it all under in-house control. They had a smart city council that worked well together. It's a pipe dream, I know, but it can be achieved with the right election. And they turned Gilbert into a remarkable city that's now the model for cities all over the country. Peoria is an incredible place. It always has been. How will we keep North Peoria incredible? Local control, smart, educated, work together representatives. That's how we make Peoria grow to be the most desirable place in the country that it's quickly becoming. And I want to be a part of that and work for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And this next question is somewhat related. The city, officials of the city have said that in order to keep up with services in the future and the future of growth of Peoria, they need to have economic development. And in order to keep from raising taxes, they need economic development. So what are some economic ideas that you guys might have to fill that gap? I think, Matt, this one's for you.
Great question, because it really goes to here's my question I like to ask people. What do you want Peoria to look like 10 years from now? What do you want Peoria to look like 20 years from now? That's important because every decision we make right now goes to that direction. We always talk about economic development. What is economic development really? It's actually 3 components. Construction taxes, let's use the Amcor facility. I know some people love it, some people hate it, but it's a great example to prove my point. Amcor, we're getting construction taxes, which are one-time fees to build the facility for the wood, the metal, the plumbing, just to build it. We get that. That goes to the city's coffers. Next thing we get is ongoing property taxes, which goes for schools and fire and police and other infrastructure projects. The third swath is part of employment taxes that come from the state back to the city in small amounts to help with growing your city and paying for different services. So when you look at what you want in North Peoria, you have to maximize 2 things: the amount of tax revenue per square foot and the amount of payroll per square foot. Amcor right now, this is a city stat, will have an average of $60,000 salary. Now, you'll have some executives and some engineers at $200,000, sure, but you'll also have some $18 an hour employees taking care of the place after hours. Where can you live in Peoria right now for $60,000 in North Peoria? Are there any realtors that can give me the real, honest truth? You can't live in Peoria, North Peoria, for $60,000 a year. However, if you were to build a tech park, research and development, medical equipment, medical supplies, AI, cybersecurity, which is non-toxic and non-caustic, with an average salary of $180,000 a year. Now you start increasing your tax base, because remember, if you have $60,000 a year jobs, where do those people live? Where do they spend their money? Phoenix, Mesa, wherever, great cities. How do you keep revenue here? You have great restaurants, great retail, great transportation, jobs that pay above the normal needed to live in your community. That's achievable, but we have to have the land, the planning, the expertise, and a city council who has a vision, not a personal vision, but a group vision. And the only way you do that, and I'll agree with Laura on this, you have to go out to your constituents and ask them, what do you want? Politicians are elected to lead. If I am fortunate enough to be elected, I'll talk to everybody like I do now, but ultimately, I have to make a decision. But the decision needs to be a majority after an informed expertise is brought to the table. Again, Peoria can easily sustain itself without looking like North Scottsdale. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Laura, what would you do in terms of economic development, aside from Miller Park, of course?
Well, I agree that we need to have a vision. And I think we need to again, what do we want to be? And the industries that we want to attract, when you think about what we need here, one of my big, platform issues is water security, water quality, and water supply. We have a lot of innovators out there that know about cleaning water, have new ideas for it, about getting water, and sustainability. Why don't we think about in the desert bringing that a hub, a tech hub, a innovation hub of that would be high-paying jobs, and that we would become the pinnacle where people would come, where we would have conferences. I mean, I just look at that's just one small example, but it is, what do we need here? And again, it's part of the vision. Let's vet this out. We need time. We need to go back to the drawing board and really think about this. This is going to change the whole face of the community for years to come, way longer than we're going to be here. It's for the next generation. We need to do some thoughtful planning. I don't know what the rush is. And I think that's what we're both saying, and what people want, is they want thoughtful planning. I would like to have stakeholder meetings and surveys, like I said, poll people, what do you want? That's why we need this general plan. We need to be continually fighting that this amendment go to the voters. And one way that can happen is through a referendum, and get that on the ballot, that we vote for these type of things, that we get this thorough job done of deciding what we want for our future. So yes, I do believe we need tax base. We need tax base from residential. We need economic development. But that doesn't mean like we have to have an airport, or that we have to have, you either are going to have an airport or you're going to have, all these multifamily housing units. It's just like that we're forced, the current council's like forcing us that it's either this or that, and that this is the only way to go. And that just isn't true. The path that they're on is not the only way. And it's been a path that has been established quickly and irresponsibly, and that's why I'm for responsible growth. I think it's been irresponsibly put together. And it's being jammed down our throats, and that's why I'm running. So yes, I think there's a lot of things we could do differently, and I think we need to be the shining star that we could be. And also, why don't we want to be the community that everyone wants to live in? So thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you, Laura. I think this will be our last economic development question. It is, how would you guys help promote growth safe growth in Peoria? And that would include jobs in the city, particularly in the Mesquite district, since obviously that's where all the land is, right? So how would you guys promote smart growth? And Laura, I think you're first on this one.
So it's kind of
Start the timer again, please.
okay. Is that on? Yes. So we need to have a committee. We need to have a committee of a city council committee put together to have a commission to study what we really want for this 8,300 acres. We need to put stakeholders together. We need to have people from the Chamber of Commerce. We need to have people from the different districts, not just Northwest Peoria, not just Mesquite. And we need to have this commission together that can be studying this issue and bring back to the council the voice of the people. The people don't have a voice right now, and that's what they need to do. And that would help vet out a lot of responsible growth, because we could hear from everybody. Ultimately, the council does need to make the decision, but they don't have enough information to make that decision. So I really feel that public participation and good governments are the cornerstone of a good community. And we are here elected to represent you. We are not here to represent ourselves. We are here to be your voice. We need to be communicating that. So I just, again, think there's a lot of other ways that we can bring clean growth, smart growth, tax base, but it's got to be thought out more thoughtfully. A friend of mine moved from Chicago, and he talked about two communities where all this growth was happening, and everybody was trying to jump on the bandwagon because they were talking about, we want the tax base, we want the economic development, we got to get out there first, let's develop this property. And one of the cities decided to take a step back, as I'm saying, and be more thoughtful about the process. And they said in a short 5 years' time, the city that's took a step back, listened, had the public participation, had the input, is doing way better economically, their tax base, because the other city blew up. And nobody wants to live there, and some of the big industry that came, industries go out of business, and then you have these big vacant properties. That's an eyesore. That brings down your community until you get somebody else who's willing to go in there. And as we can see, some of these buildings stay vacant a very long time. So again, thoughtful, slow down planning.
Thank you, Laura. Matt, smart growth. Yes.
Working now? Okay, thanks for fixing that. If it fails again, I'm gonna just yell really loud. What I scratch my head on this one, smart growth. It's a catch-all term just like economic development. It means 20 different things to 20 different people. Smart growth comes down to 3 things. And I go back to my original question I asked all of you. Why did you move to Peoria? I had 2 questions. And what do you want Peoria to look like in 10 to 20 years? Though those of you who are not for the airport have all told me, and some of you in the room I know I've met in the campaign trail, said I don't want North Peoria again to look like North Scottsdale. Okay, great, we agree with that. Smart economic development is important, but why is this suddenly a big thing when Peoria is about the fastest growing city in the whole state of Arizona, and we've been okay? We've actually been okay. People move here and drive 45 minutes to work. They're okay with that. You know, would they like to work down the street? Who wouldn't? But let's be honest. People move here and they have to drive to see a school, move here and they have to drive across town to go to a sporting event. They're okay with it, or else they wouldn't have moved here. So we gotta be really careful when you use the term smart economic development or economic development. Let's just plaster stuff all over. That's not why you moved here. So what does smart economic development do? It keeps the level in Mesquite District, it keeps the level of tax base, employment base, sales tax base, and services where it's at now and only increasing. If we had another 20,000 homes up in North Peoria, we will need I'm making this up, 2 fire stations, another police headquarters, and we'll need more roads, we'll need more restaurants and more shops and entertainment, and we'll need more Home Depots and all that stuff. Great. So far that's worked beautifully, again, to create the fastest growing city in Arizona. So let's be careful of splattering everything everywhere with smart economic development. As a matter of fact, smart economic development for Peoria may actually not be turning us into the next Irvine, California, which is 20 to 30 miles of apartments, which used to be 20 years ago, was an incredible city, 20 to 30 miles of warehouses, 20 to 30 miles of rental houses. I don't want North Peoria to look like that. Smart economic development is sometimes not doing something. It's okay to say, no, that's going to be left for open space. And of course, you hear the fear mongers tell me, especially because I'm like anti-airport, well, we're going to go back to the Stone Age. We're going to have to build 10,000 apartments. We're going to throw everything down. We're going to cancel police and fire service. Everything's going to be canceled because we can't afford them. No, stop believing that. Smart means prudent. Smart means educated. Smart means the vision for 10 years. Peoria ain't doing so bad. I like some nice restaurants. I like some nice entertainment. My wife would love some nice shopping. Let's work on that first. And then we can also smatter in planned economic growth, i.e. a tech park, if we so desire, if it's even needed. Let's be careful what smart really means. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you, Matt. That was our, I guess that would be our economic development portion of the evening. So we'll move along a little bit to business. It's rather fitting that we are, that this forum was sponsored by the Chamber and WESERV. So the question here for that is, what can you do to help local businesses thrive in the city? And I believe you're going first.
Yeah.
Matthew.
It's still working. I love this topic because I'm a small business owner. I graduated from, you ready for this? University of Arizona. Who likes to bear down, right? Bear down? Woo! Right, all selling ASU. I know. Are you throwing ASU signs at me, my friend? Okay, good. I've been a small business owner since the day after I graduated from the University of Arizona. I started a small database programming business. Yes, I'm an IBM child. I have a chip in the back of my head. If I don't start a tech business, my dad will cut me out of the will or do something worse. The reason I bring that up is small businesses are near and dear to my heart because that's all I've ever known. I've started 3 technology companies, and one, I used to be a franchisee of Streets New York. I actually built the Streets New York right down the road here. I owned 9 at one time. The reason I bring that up is I even talked with Rhonda Carlson a couple weeks ago. I said, is Peoria respected and have a strong SMB, small and medium business development plan? And of course, the chamber has had their funding cut. The chamber was kicked out of the location they were at before. The city of Peoria, as it stands now, is not small business friendly. So I went to work after that education and I started talking to small business owners I've known, having lived here for 23 years, restaurant owners, car wash owners, pharmacy owners. What is your perception of business right now in Peoria? The perception is, not everybody answered this, but a majority told me, the mayor and city council want the big box. They want the big 500,000 square foot facilities, and they don't want small business. It's not a big deal. That took me out of my skin. I literally crawled out of my skin. If you do not have a vibrant small and medium business economy, services, tax-friendly, regulation-friendly, and quick zoning approval, you will die. Small business is the feeder for these large box. Small business provides us 75% of the services you take advantage of on a day-to-day basis. Small business is what gives homes their value, and small business is the feeder for great schools, great workforce development, and innovation. Interestingly enough, majority of tech innovations you think come from Microsoft or Google. Yes, they have wonderful things, but you know the majority of tech innovations come from companies with less than 100 employees, or this is worldwide. Why would you stomp on small business and not vaunt them up and laud them and put them on a pedestal, and yet expect your economy, your local community, your home values, and people to move here with smiles on their face? Don't mess with small business. I will be a very, very loud and angry voice if I'm elected if you mess with small business. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Laura, what would you do to help small businesses in the city of Peoria?
Well, I definitely would like to revisit the budget is with the chamber. Small business is the backbone of our nation. It's the backbone of our communities. As I mentioned, I was a small business owner for 33 years. Small business owners are the people who bring the services to us, and there are advocates out there in communicating and networking in our community, and they are such a viable part of our fabric. It's really important that we do what we can to support small business and make it attractive for them to be here. We can't continually burden them with regulation and fees and or taxes and expect them to bear the brunt of a lot of what we want to see the revenues going into our tax base. We have to be good partners as a city. We have to have a good private-public partnership. And I think that it starts with having good communication with the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce represents a lot of very, large and medium and small businesses. It's not just about the big box. People want to be able to go to their local independent business community to have a meal, to go to a great boutique. It brings character to our community and makes it more valuable. That increases our home value, that increases our quality of life. Big boxes don't bring that feel. We know that. They don't bring that. And communities suffer because of that. We need to be connected as people. We need to have places where we can go connect and that we can grow. It's very important connection for our mental health and our moving forward, especially with our older community up in Trilogy, for instance. We are looking for ways to connect with the community outside of Trilogy, and the only way we can do that is by having small businesses. Small business eateries, small business boutiques, like I was mentioning, and I don't like to hear from small businesses that they do feel like they're being left out. Even a local bar that we attended, We heard about how the city makes it kind of difficult for them to stay open, and that they look for any little infraction to, come down on them because maybe they don't like that business for some reason. But a lot of people that live in that area enjoy going there, and they have a lot of camaraderie. So I think there needs to be more partnership. So small businesses, very important, and I think we need to do a better job with our economic development director attracting these small businesses here, because this is a great place for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And we're going to shift a little bit here and go towards public safety. So, Laura, we'll start this question off with you. How do you view the state of public safety in Peoria?
I think Peoria is a very safe place to live, and I feel very comfortable here. I came from an area that used to be really safe, and the last 2 years that I lived there, I couldn't go to the grocery store by myself. And I saw what happened with policy that contributed to that. So I think we have some really good policies in place here still in the state of Arizona that allow our police officers to actually protect us and to protect us from people who don't want to, do good things to us. But I am concerned about the border, and I did bring this up to the chief of police, saying, are we seeing any, residual problems because of the border crisis? And he said, not yet. But it's coming, and that is really concerning to me. So I definitely feel like our essential services, such as police, that we really need to protect that and have a robust armory of people, police officers, and that we start really thinking about, having that control on our city more so than ever. Because once you lose the safety of your community, it's really hard to get it back. Trust me. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Matthew Bullock, same question to you. How do you view the state of public safety in Peoria?
Great. Again, speaking to a group somewhat of realtors, obviously we're in WESERV here. There's two things that public safety is critical for. Stabilization of education. I learned that when I was president of the Peoria School Board. Never thought how important it was for police presence is the wrong way to say it, but police involvement. When I was president of the Peoria School Board, I worked with the superintendent and the CFO for a year, and we found funding for the last 2 student resource officers for Sunrise Mountain and Liberty High School. I've experienced that. Without public safety, home values go down. Without public safety, people don't spend as much in retail establishments. Without public safety, as I mentioned, education quality goes down. Because, believe it or not, and most of you are probably parents in here, if your children feel unsafe, feel unstable, are not sure, are they thinking of reading, writing, arithmetic? No. They're thinking of safety on their campus. That's why I pushed for and found funding for student resource officers. I'm actually excited tomorrow. I was going to release it tomorrow, but I'll say it tonight. I'm actually coming out with my next endorsement tomorrow. Former Peoria Police Chief Art Miller has come out to be endorsing my campaign. Many of you know Art Miller. He was unfortunately banged heads with the mayor and moved off to Goodyear. He's just retired. He's now able to endorse. He came from the LAPD as a assistant sergeant there. So why is he endorsing my campaign? Because I have proven experience of fighting for police presence, police funding, and we also did an annual police on the Peoria School Board police honoring night. We brought in police officers who were exemplary, educating Peoria students, and also protecting teachers, and protecting parking lots, protecting staff, and we honored them. We honored them, and we honored firefighters. We had career day we brought in every semester to teach kids. Remember, college is not for every kid. Let's be honest here. Public safety is an incredible, and first responders is an incredible career. We brought them in as well. I will take that same experience, I'll take this endorsement, and the knowledge I'll gain from Chief Miller, who knows far more than I ever will about public safety, to be someone who understands the value of safety, education, home values, and just enjoying a nice meal. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Art Miller retired from Goodyear?
He just retired yesterday.
Okay, good to know. You heard it first right here. So, public safety, we're going to move to public education. And City council is not, obviously not the board of the school board, obviously. They don't have the powers that the school board does in terms of the school board. But the city council does have power in terms of sway and doing things that can help your local school district. So question is, how can the city and the Peoria Unified School District work together to improve education and improve needed improvements? And that I also have to note that the bond is this coming up, and the district has not passed a bond since 2012, I believe. So what can city council, if you're a member of city council, if you are elected, what can you do to maybe help improve the status of the district? And I think you're first.
This one is near and dear to my heart, and to be honest with you, it breaks my education heart. And I say that realistically because back in the day, several years ago, previous administration, there was an inextricable bond between the Peoria Unified School District and the city of Peoria. I know because I experienced it. It was incredible. We could pick up the phone anytime, call the mayor at the time, call city council members, call the city manager, and they would drive over to the district center or drive over to a high school, meet us to help figure out a project with career and technical education, which, interestingly enough, PUSD has one of the top 20 CTE programs in the entire United States. We have a gem of workforce development and an absolutely incredible avenue for students who don't want to go to college, but still want incredibly rewarding careers right in our backyard. I've spoken to, over the last 6 months, as I contemplated running and then running, with friends that still are in administrative positions in Peoria School Board and the Peoria School District, and every single one of them to a T has told me the same thing. The bond that used to exist has been severed. The Peoria City Council does not have the same zeal, does not have the same access, and does not have the same care, and I'm using words that I heard from executives in the Peoria School District. They are very sad. I'll tell you, as soon as I get elected, the first thing I will do is have a meeting with the mayor, the city council, city manager, workforce development team, right at the district. We have a brand new superintendent, Dr. Summers. We have the #1 communication director in the entire state of Arizona, Daniel Airy. They are desperate to have a connection reignited with the city to help with career and technical education. The world-class MET, Medical Engineering Technology program, which is also a gem right in our own backyard. All these programs that the city they drop the ball. I don't know what else to say. You do not drop small business. You do not drop your support for education. Having said that now, it sounds funny as a politician, I can't lie to you, because I'm on video and on the dais saying things. You can go back and look. I was a strong proponent of competition when I was on the school board. I was on the dais talking about one time saying, we need to make sure Peoria is an incredible, hardworking school district, or we're going to lose students to charter, parochial, homeschool, or private. I support all of those. Even though as president of the school board, I actively talked how great some charter schools were. I talked how Basis was a great school. I talked about Great Arts was a great school. We did emulate R&D, rip off and distribute some things they did. But I'll tell you what, the city now is favoring charter schools at the expense of district schools. You never favor as a government entity. You support all educational opportunities and you meet them all in the middle. Favoring is only going to mess with our education, our home values, our safety, and the joy of living here. Tell parents that their school is no longer supported, and what are they going to do? Put a for sale sign in their front yard.
Thank you, Matt. Laura, what can the city and Peoria Unified do to work together to cover needed improvements and improve the district?
Well, first of all, I want to say, I think we're seeing a trend here. We're seeing the trend that the city is not partnering with different entities, the school district, the chamber. This is a trend that they're working in a silo. And this is not good for our community. And that's definitely same with the school district. But I will say the charter of the city is not it doesn't have anything to do with running the public schools. That is the responsibility of the school district. That doesn't mean that we don't want to listen, that we don't want to know what's going on and how we could possibly help. But we have a lot to solve at the city. And when it comes to local government, I really do think it's important that we stay in our lane. And one thing that I have heard is that the city there have been members of the city council that are talking about influencing the operations and the curriculum at our schools. And that is not the role of the city. It's not in the charter of our city that we do that. And again, I'm all for schools. We need to have a better communication because awareness is a very powerful thing. When we're aware of what the issues are, we can help, we can connect, we can be connectors. We have lots of resources at our fingertips, and we shouldn't be holding it back from any one entity, especially our schools. But again, we have a lot of things going on that I'm very concerned about in the city, and I'm talking about water quality, water supply, I'm talking about ensuring responsible growth, and I'm talking about economic development in a responsible way. And these are the things we really need to concentrate on, and we need to have a robust school district that can concentrate on our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. All right, you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are learning a lot. We are on our home stretch here. So a couple more questions. This one is going to be about fiscal responsibility. That's obviously a big budget. Peoria puts out a budget every year, has to balance it. And so what would you guys do to make sure, during this volatile economy, make sure that Peoria stays fiscally responsible? And I think that's you, Laura.
So the city of Peoria just passed an almost $1 billion budget, and I noticed that I'm always really interested when it comes to budget what the debt is. So the budget overall has a 5% debt, which doesn't sound too bad when you have a $1 billion budget. But what I drill down on is the capital improvement program for the next 10 years. And when I look at that component, I see that program is predicated on having 43% debt. That really concerns me. That concerns me because that's a high debt load. And I would like to see what the debt management program is that the city of Peoria has in place. So far, I haven't been able to find one, and that would be one of the first things as your city councilwoman that I would ask for. What is our debt management program? Because we do have a lot of, 46% of that capital improvement program is for water development, water safety. It's very important that we move forward with that, but we need to figure out how we're gonna do it, and that's part of not moving so fast. We need to move incrementally in a safe and sound fiscal way in order that we don't get over our heads. Because once we have 43% in debt for our capital improvement program, we have no flexibility. To do other things. We don't know what's on the horizon. That's based on what we know right now. What do we know in 5 or 10 years? And if we're so in debt, we aren't going to be able to address what we don't know. And that is a big concern of mine. So I think it's great that the overall budget only has 5% debt, but that is only going to grow as we move forward. And that is a big concern because, as you know, in your lifetime, things are cyclical. And when things are good, that's great. But when things are down, then you're going to be coming to the taxpayers to help out. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Matt, question goes to you. What can you do to help make the city be fiscally responsible?
If you're in real estate, you're a realtor, and you hear $1 billion budget for the city of Peoria, what has happened over the last 6 years or so? Our housing prices have gone, whoo, maybe you can thank California for that. With the city coffers increasing, I'm going to guess, don't quote me this number, over 20% over the last 5 years because of all the increase in property values and all the new homes being built and impact fees and everything, how can you grow your budget, or not grow budget, grow your income maybe 20% and you still don't have enough money? Well, it's interesting that we as a city, I say us because it is our city, but city management has hired almost 200 new positions. Why? I don't know. We don't have an airport, we don't have these huge factories. Why do we hire all these additional people? Why are we accumulating assets that the city doesn't need? when we've had a large increase in revenue. Why is that? You may ask yourself that question. As a city council member, I'll take the experience as a business owner and being able to read a spreadsheet. I'll take my experience running with the CFO and the superintendent, a $220 million school district budget, and finding enough pieces to actually increase our credit ratings. I mentioned we were able to refinance a 2012 bond and save almost $1 million for you as taxpayers. I'll take that experience and ask those two questions. No, I take that back. I will answer those two questions for all of you because it's your wallet and your purse. Revenue's up, lots of new city employees, services pretty much the same. No new fire stations. A new one has finally been planned. Great. We need one more, and we'll need a third one as we start going further up Lake Pleasant Parkway on the way to Lake Pleasant. That'll be all homes at some point or thinking of development. Where's it going? Well, it's going part of it to an aviation department. $1 million has gone to studies for the airport. I'll tell you right now, if I was on the city council a year ago, I would say don't spend 1 red cent on any studies. Don't even start the process. I don't even want to know the answer because I don't want an airport. Do not fund an aviation department. Don't even pay $1. Do not pay almost $2 million a year for a helicopter. Which maintenance, the 12 pilots you have to man a helicopter 24/7, 168 hours a week. There's all these little pieces. I can nickel and dime my wife to death, and she knows I do it, and she calls me on it, because I never buy big things. I buy little accessories for the things I like, and I try and fly under the radar. I call it the parable of the wife in the truck. Ask me someday, I'll tell you, I made up this parable. It's what's happening. Watch where your money is going and determine, is it the highest and best use for taxpayer ROI? I'm going to tell you, not all the time. Hire me and let me give you the information. You decide how I should lead, and I'll lead that way. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. One last question of the day, and it involves water. We live in a desert, and water is finite, and so what would you guys do to make sure that residents continue to have water come out of their faucet and go out the toilet? So I believe, Matthew, please, you can go on this one. You start this one.
As I mentioned a while back, I'm an IT guy. I'm a geek, not a nerd. There's a big difference. I'm a geek. I'm awesome at cybersecurity and IT, and that's where my knowledge stops. If I need to know stuff about realty or realtors, home values, police protection, water, I ask experts. I'm not going to tell you I know everything, but I love researching, and I love getting to the bottom of it, and then making an informed decision as a leader, of course, with your input. It's interesting is I joined Leadership West. If you haven't heard of that program before, it's a West Valley program that happens every year. It's a year-long program you pay for, and you go through a series of 12 different training exercises, if you will, and you go visit the recycling plant, go visit the EPCOR water plant, you go take a helicopter tour of the SRP water and the reservoirs and the dams up in a little bit north of Scottsdale. So I did that program 6 years ago, and I learned something incredible. Thank goodness for the super smart people who came before us that put together a 100-year water plan that is rock solid for Arizona. Now, having said that, does that mean you can waste it? No. Peoria currently has enough water. I talked to Shelby Duplessis, who's on the water board. I used to say water, but that sounds really bad, but she's on the water commission. And I said, where do we sit with water? Because again, I don't know it, so I go talk to people who know more than I do. She goes, we have enough water to do what we're doing right now. But the scary thing is, and many of you probably know this, especially if you're in real estate, Peoria is sitting on top of, especially North Peoria, sitting on top of, I like to call a swimming pool or a lake. You drill down 8 feet and water comes shooting out like old Jed Clampett's oil coming out of the ground. That's wonderful. It's also scary because we're so close, we have to be very careful what we put in the ground. You put an airport and start smashing things down with fuel and stuff like that, water's only 8 feet down. Not exactly, but it's very, very low or very, very high. If we don't honor the hard work, the research, the blood, sweat, and tears of the people who came before us to maintain this rolling 100-year plan of water, we'll be out of luck. If we get lazy, we'll be out of luck. We can maintain our current growth rate with the water plan that's already in place. Having said that, our fear is contamination. Our fear is not running out of water. So as we plan our developments, as we sell homes, as we build new businesses, the water is there. as long as we're responsible, we have to be careful we don't make it unusable. That's the actual fear, not running out of water. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Laura, last question to you. What could you do to ensure residents have water in the future, in the coming future?
Well, I disagree with Matt on this about our water supply. I think there is a looming problem. We do have this aquifer that everyone talks about. As you noticed, everyone's drilling wells. Everybody's out there drilling wells. And I have talked to people in the water industry in this state, and these are the people that are behind the closed doors in offices that don't want to talk about it because they're concerned about the blowback. Nobody really wants to talk about that there really is going to be a water supply issue. If you think about the fact that Scottsdale had to turn off Rio Verde because they need the water for their city. They can't give it to them anymore. There was an industry that they were looking at permitting, and they said, we can give you 60% of the water that you need to operate your business, but I believe it was 60-40% split, but you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna haul in that other water in. It's already happening in neighboring cities. Hearing in Scottsdale that permits for pools are really hard to get for new pools. It's again, water supply. They're looking at, we want to have this water, a lot of cities are looking at, we want to have this water for industry, but we don't want to, so you don't really need a pool. You live in the desert, that's quality of life issue. We'd rather have this industry that brings in all this money than protect your quality of life. That you have a golf course in your community, that maybe this Trilogy Golf Course only has a 5-year contract with the city of Peoria for water. We don't know that they're going to even renew our water. We don't know, because we use 1.5 million gallons a day at that golf course. It does take a lot of water, but it also adds to our quality of life. It's beautiful, provides recreation, and it brings economic development to the community because a lot of people come there to golf, and then they eat at the golf course and they use our services close by. Getting back to the drilling. Hydrologists, when they go, and they're the ones that are the front runners on this, and these are the people who don't really want to talk, they wouldn't come here and talk to you right now. They're drilling wells, not just the city of Peoria, but other districts. They're doing this, and they're looking at starting with a 2 million per gallon day of water. That's what they want the well to produce. They're permitting it, and now some of these wells already are not producing. They're producing at half that rate. So there is a concern that we can overdraft. And this has happened in the state of California. That's why in 2014, the voters there passed the Sustainable Groundwater Manageability Act. And they said it would take 10 years to implement, and they are at that point right now. And that is that so everybody is part of the large ecosystem, and everybody that pulls water out of the ground, takes it from the surface, everybody knows what everybody else is doing at all times. And they're managing. And it's one of the few things that I agree with state of California policy, but this is very important water policy. And that's not happening here yet, and it should be, because water doesn't know boundaries. It doesn't know boundaries from the city of Peoria, to the city of Phoenix, to Mesa, or even to the state of California or New Mexico. It's a very important issue for our time. And we, I think, are gonna end up seeing some unfortunate things happen. And I don't want that to happen, and that's why I want to be able to ask the questions of our city staff and bring some more experts in so that we know that we are moving forward responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And that does it. That concludes the question and answer part of the forum. And so we're gonna do a conclusion from both the candidates right now. And I think that we started with you. So, gosh. Wait. Yeah, I think you need to go first, I believe, for your conclusion. Is that okay?
Yeah, because we did the 50-yard line. I think I punted first.
Yes.
I received the second half.
Yes, thank you. Too many questions. My brain's scrambling right now. Laura, go ahead. 1 minute.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here tonight with all of you. Again, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for holding this forum. It's hard running. It's hard getting an opportunity to meet with people. So many people are disenchanted with our voting system that they don't even want to, they want to talk, don't want to talk about it. They don't want to put a sign in their yard. They don't want to hold a meet and greet. They want to support you. They want to see you win, but yet they're just so gun shy. So I really appreciate having an opportunity. I get questions from people like, where is there going to be an opportunity to have a forum so that we can hear you? I think that people enjoy having choices. It's great to be on the stage here with Matt. I really enjoy it. I think you have choices, and that's what our political process is all about, and I respect that. I'm really excited to bring my experience to the city council. I have a different perspective than the other two candidates that I can bring, and I am retiring at this end of this year, and I wanted to throw my hat in the ring because I didn't want to leave it on the table. I didn't want to leave my career on the table, all of my experience. I think that I can bring it to the community to help us move forward in a responsible way and sustainable growth, economic development, but not ruin our quality of life here that we all moved here for. I want to work with the other council members. I know it's going to be an uphill battle right now, but I'm up for that, and I am a strong voice, and I don't take no, and I will keep coming at it from every different angle and figure it out how I can get people to work together. That's one of my fortes. I do it every day, and I want to be your public servant and represent you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. Good. Good. Matt, 1 minute in conclusion, please.
Thank you very much to Laura. Thank you very much to Phil for Peoria Independent Newspapers and to the Chamber of Commerce for holding this. I've mentioned this to a few of you, and I really mean it. You are the 5%ers. Only 5% of citizens get involved in a local election. Sad. 5% understand, research, and at best, 25% of you will vote. 25 meaning the whole constituency. I've been involved in local politics since 2010. I have not seen ever the amount of energy, frustration, and get involvedness that has erupted with this election for Peoria. It is critical to choose wisely. It is critical to research every aspect of what one of the three of us will do, because you get one vote. 2 of us will make it through the primary July 30th, 1 will take all in November, but you only get 1 vote. I am asking for your vote. My name is Matt Bullock. I believe my experience as a business owner, having lived here for 23 years and seen the growth patterns, what's worked and what hasn't. Experience as president of the school board, created over 300 jobs, understanding the ebbs and flows of politics. You have to choose who's going to stand up to what's happening in the city. We have an unprecedented headwind right now at the city if you have not paid attention. Who can stand up to an unprecedented headwind, keep you informed, keep you involved, and never lie to you? People often ask me, Matt, you're only 1 vote, what can you possibly do? Well, let's start with 1. Let's use my experience to build a consensus. Let's build a coalition. I'll be the tip of the spear for the other council members who may be afraid to stand up. Once they see one council member leading strong, articulate, loud, and professional, and informed, they will follow. Give me that chance. I think you'll like what you vote for. Yeah, my name is Matt Bullock, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, Peoria Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, WESERV. And thank you guys, everybody, for coming out and listening and taking the time, because, yes, it's important to be informed. And I just want to take 1 quick moment to let you guys know about Independent News Media, my company. I'm the news editor for the Peoria Independent. I&I, Independent News Media, is a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit with about 20 publications throughout the Valley, including a daily newspaper and a lifestyle magazine. We have no shareholders, no dividends are paid, and after all our after-tax profits are there, those are reinvested into our mission. And we survive on subscriptions and donations. We're a local business, just like we've been talking about tonight. And so, I know I've got the Arizona Republic over here, but I'm going to say that you will not find better local coverage than the Peoria Independent. And so I ask of you to, subscribe. It'll cost a latte at Starbucks. And so you're going to continue to get good election coverage. You're going to continue to get all the information. you're gonna know what's happening in Peoria, and that's what we provide. And so I'm happy to do it. I don't live in Peoria, but I have enjoyed my coverage of Peoria for the last 7 years, and I've enjoyed the people that I have met along the way. And there's some amazing people in Peoria, amazing groups, amazing businesses, and it is a joy for me to write about what happens in this city. So please, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. And visit me at, you can go to my website at yourvalley.net, hit the Peoria tab. That's where you go for all the Peoria info. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Laura. And thank you, everybody else. Have a good night.